Hi guys, welcome to the Farhang flavor web series. My name is Behzad Jamshidi. I'm the chef and founder of Mush NYC. And today I'm going to demonstrate for you guys how to make Persian pistachio soup. So the first part to Persian pistachio soup, we're going to slice up a little bit of shallot here. We're essentially just going to cut down a few vegetables, make them super thin. Thinking about this web series, I really wanted to capture something that didn't just honor, the recipes that we've all become fans of and have been popularized so much, but give an ode to the over 4,000 years of history that Iran and Persia has accumulated to, and I don't think anything better represents that than pistachio soup. Shallots aside. To this, you're also going to add some ginger. If available at all, you can also use galangal, which is a younger form of ginger. Just going to use a spoon just to scrape off and peel off a little bit of the skin. Beautiful. And then I wouldn't worry too much about the amounts that I'm grabbing right now. I won't necessarily give this recipe to you like a Persian mother in handfuls and spoonfuls. It'll be a perfect recipe that Farhang will send out to you guys. I'm also going to slice up a little bit of leek. So these are our vegetables. In a oven or some heavy-based pot, we're going to add a couple tablespoons of olive oil here. We're going to get that heated on medium-high heat. Essentially what we want to do, we want to sweat out these vegetables, but we don't necessarily want to over-caramelize them. So I start them off in some cold oil. And additionally, I also add a touch of salt to them. What the salt does when you add it to vegetables before they start frying is it helps pull out a little bit more of the moisture inside, and that helps prevent the vegetables from over caramelizing. In the meantime, I would bring a form of stock to a simmer. Here we're using chicken stock to replace necessarily water that we would add into the recipe. Alternatively, you could use a vegetable stock. I just think chicken stock fortifies the flavor a lot better. And Persians also have a habit of finding meat in a lot of vegetarian stews. You could be making eggplant stew, but there's always a few pieces of lamb or beef that help give it a little bit more of a fortified flavor. So chicken stock here really is the hero of the dish that helps bring everything together. So we're going to give our vegetables here a little bit of a mix. We want to saute them up until they're nice and soft and also super fragrant. We really want to be able to capture all the smells in this dish. So you can see that these vegetables are getting nice and soft and they're breaking down. So now we're going to add the spices. In this recipe, I primarily like to use yellow cardamom and green cardamom. You can use, in the same proportion, half the amount of green cardamom, as these are a little bit less widely known, but they do help to capture a lot of the history, more or less, items that would have otherwise passed across us in the spice tray. So I'm going to add the spices in directly and whole. And we're basically going to let the spices cook down with the vegetables until they're also very soft and nice and fragrant. And for a softer flavor of heat, I'm going to add white peppercorns, fermented white peppercorns. These spices I'm using are a combination of two of my favorite spice procurers. One of them is Burlap and Barrel, and the other one is SOS Chefs in New York. And the second these hit the pot, you can really smell how fragrant they get. So next to this, we're going to add unroasted peeled pistachios. And we're going to just cook the pistachios until they also get nice and vibrant green. Cook up the pistachios very lightly, just to give them a little bit of a head start. If we don't cook them up before in this step, and we go completely to just simmering them with the stock, they're going to lose a lot of their green color, and you're going to get a very pale-looking pistachio soup. So at this point, the kernels are getting nice bright green. What we're going to do is we're going to take our stock, and we're going to add it into our pistachio soup. And essentially, we're going to just bring this up to a simmer now. And we're going to slowly simmer the pistachio soup for approximately 8 to 10 minutes, just until the kernels are very soft. While your pistachio soup is simmering, I think it would be a perfect time to grab tea, maybe call your mom, read a book, explore an alternative career choice outside of a doctor, engineer, or lawyer, maybe a chef. You have 10 minutes to figure all that stuff out. Okay, we're back. So our soup is up to a simmer now. The pistachios are nice and soft. We're going to kill the heat on this guy. We're now going to blend our pistachio soup. Essentially what the goal is here, we could just blend it and not pass it through, but I really want to pass it through a chinois just to be able to capture all the little bits that might be in the spices, but you could otherwise skip that step if you wanted something a little bit easier. So I'm just going to transfer this guy here. Add my pistachio soup to my blender. Make sure I scoop out this here. And we're just going to blend this on high with 1 minute. To that, I'm also going to add some fresh herbs. So here I have pig parsley. You could alternatively add things like dill, you could add things like mint, cilantro, or a mixture of all those things, spinach, but anything just to help fortify the color in the pistachio and get it super green. You also need to turn on the blender. They don't teach you that in Persian school. Okay, so we're going to blend this on high. I'm just going to add a touch more parsley just to get a little bit more green. You can kind of play this by earshot as well. The soup is going to be hot enough to really soften the herbs that you add into it, so you don't really need to cook them in. They're really nice just being added in fresh and last minute. Beautiful. So from here, we're just going to strain our soup through. Make sure that it catches any of the extra little bits inside, and it helps make sure that we get something that's super smooth and velvety. It's a labor of love because this food takes a long time. This is probably one of the easier recipes that you'll do in Persian food. Start to finish, this could take anywhere from 20 to 30 minutes depending on how fast you are. And the result is, it's a flavor like on anything I haven't tasted before. So this is a soup here. The last thing that we're going to add, I'm going to check it for seasoning. I'm going to give this a touch more salt. And at the very last minute, I'm going to add just a touch of rose water, just to help sweeten it out. I don't necessarily want the rose to take on an identifiable flavor inside the soup. I just kind of want it to be there to soften out all the spices and to really help fortify the sweetness that's there in the pistachio. I think Iranians more than anyone are infamous for using rose water quite excessively. And this is one of those recipes where you can introduce the rose water, but it doesn't necessarily have to be the star in the flavors that you see. I'm gonna mix this together. Give this another taste. I think it's perfect. And this is definitely one of those Persian products that benefits from sitting overnight. What you could do is you could make the stew, let it sit overnight, and then the next day you can mix in your fresh herbs, so you get something that's really bright and green. So now we're ready to plate. So we're going to start off by just getting a ladle of our soup here. Just going to ladle this here. To this, I love adding just a dollop of yogurt. You can add things like crème fraîche or a touch of clotted cream. It just helps give a little bit more richness to the whole dish. I also garnish it with some mixture of pistachio and rose. A little bit of fresh mint. A little goes a long way, so you don't need to overkill. And a touch of fresh orange juice. And this is our Persian pistachio soup. I like to say for all of those at home, I know it's a really weird time right now with the measures that we're taking in order to make sure that not just ourselves, but our family, our friends, and all of our neighbors stay safe. I think it's super important to keep perspective that we're all in this together. And, you know, I can at least speak on behalf of my community as chefs and people in food that, you know, it's our privilege to be able to use this time to share recipes with you and to connect with you and to help empower you guys to find, you know, the little moments of joy that every house has and every kitchen can bring to people. And I'm more than willing to always reach out and give you guys recipe and guidance to making the time at home that we have to spend that much more pleasurable. So thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for supporting Farhang and supporting all of the great Iranian chefs across the United States. And we'll get through this together, hopefully one delicious bite at a time. Thanks so much.